Yo, yo, what's up? What's up? What's the deal? What is the deal? What is the deal? What is the deal? Make sure in that light bulb when y'all come up in here. Make sure in that light bulb when you come up in here. Let some of y'all get up in here real quick. Let some of y'all get up in here real quick. What's the deal? What is the deal? What is the deal? Here we go. What is the deal? What is the deal? What is the deal? Let some of y'all get up in here real quick and we can get to talking about what we just seen. Like I said, one of the most meaningless games in franchise history, but we was able to get it done. We was able to get it done. We're gonna talk about. We're gonna break it down. But let some of y'all get up in here real quick. We going in already. So So the Houston Texans defeat the Tennessee Titans in a 23 to 14 win. Again, like I said before, the game really didn't mean a lot for the Texans. But people wondering where the starters going to play. Like, were we going to see the starters in the game? I know D'Amico said the starters going to play. I was of the mindset that if the starters did play, it wouldn't be long. It would be, at the most a quarter. Like they would treat it like a preseason game. We didn't even get that. We got one drive, and I kind of thought I was kind of leaning a little bit. Cause I know we've had this we had this conversation all week, going back and forth. Should they play? Should they not play? And I talked about this on Friday when I did my preview. That at the very least, I could definitely see both Joe Mixon and Nico out there playing so they can reach their 1,000-yard marks. And like Joe Mixon came into the game only down like 7 yards. Nico was only down, I think, 32, and they both got it on the first drive. Like which Joe Mixon in 2 carries, because his first carry was like 6 yards, and his next carry got him over 1,000. And then on the touchdown that Nico had, got him exactly 1,000 yards. And I was surprised that in that second drive, that when we didn't see CJ and we didn't see Nico, I mean, we didn't see CJ and we didn't see Joe Mixon, but we seen Nico. I was surprised that Nico would still be out there, given his injury history of his career and this season. Same thing with Stingley. I was surprised to see Stingley out there in the second quarter. I don't think he was out there after halftime, but I was surprised to see Stingley out there, knowing his injury history. And we finally got a full. This is the first time that he's played a full season since the 2019 national championship season of LSU. So since then, since 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023, all those years, he went without playing a full season, collegiate or NFL. And I was surprised that they would have him playing that deep into the game. I thought when they took all the starters out, they would have took him out too. I wasn't surprised about the offensive line and Larry Tunsil, because those guys definitely need to work. Like those guys need as much work as they need. Now I can see why they took Larry Tunsil out, because eventually, again, he is your best offensive lineman. So you don't want to see him get hurt. But the fact of the matter is, we got to go out. We went out there and we seen a good drive. We went down there, scored a touchdown. It looked fluent. It looked good. Good movement. Just like I said the other day, sometimes shooters just need to see the ball go in the hoop. Like I know CJ always talks about basketball. He's a big basketball fan, and if you play basketball, when you get in a funk, when you're in a rut, when you're in a slump, whatever you want to call it, sometimes you just need to see the ball go inside the hoop. Sometimes you just need to see the ball go inside. You just need to see the ball going get inside the hoop. That's like sometimes you just need to see that. And I felt like maybe that might have been what this opening drive was. We just need to see something good out of this offense and for them to go down there, scored a touchdown, and they all hit that. You could see that they were trying to get their 1,000-yard marks. I mean, the first play of the game was a shuffle pass or a little jet pass to Nico for I think it was like 11, 12 yards. Trying to get okay, hey, we're trying to get Nico 1,000 yards. We're trying to get Joe Mixon 1,000 yards, and then for Nico to get his 7th touchdown of the season, CJ to get his 20th touchdown of the season. Because again, these are all would have been sour tastes in the mouths of all these guys. D'Amico Ryans, him having a 9-7 season, I mean a 9-8 season versus a 10-7 season, that would have been a sour taste in his mouth. Being swept by Tennessee, that would have been a sour taste in his mouth. CJ not getting not at least getting 20 touchdowns, being in the teens in touchdowns, that would be a sour taste. It's a sour taste that he didn't get 4,000 yards, but I think with the 50 yards he had today, I think that takes him around like 3,700 yards. So again, not great by any stretch of the imagination, but again, it's better than 3,500 yards, especially, and it's really not good when you miss no games this season. You played the full season, and last year you missed 2 games and got I think with 4,100 yards, if I'm not mistaken, he had last year. So with that standpoint, again, it takes out some of that bitterness for Nico to get 1,000 yards. For him to not get 1,000 yards would have been a sour taste. Same thing with Joe Mixon. When Joe Mixon was on the pace of having a career year, like Joe Mixon was with 3 weeks left to go, with the last 3 games of the season, he was only 2 touchdowns away from tying the career a record in touchdowns, and he was like less than 200 yards away from tying a career high in yards with 3 games left to go. So he didn't even have to get a touchdown in every game. He didn't even have to get 100 yards in every game just to actually eclipse that. And we seen these last couple games just not go good for the Texans offense in general, and it just looked bad, and it was a big funk. So the fact that we were able to see something good, like the fact that we were able to see something good out of offense, shows that that's the reason why these guys were out there playing. Is like I said, at the very least, the first drive they wanted to get something good, so they really treat this game like a preseason. So let's talk about the numbers. Like I said, CJ was 6 of 6, 100% completion percentage, had 50 yards and a touchdown. Davis Mills finished out the game. He was 12 of 22 for 128 yards. Joe Mixon was able to get 30. Was it 32 rushing yards and was able to get, 20. I'm sorry, he got 28. I'm looking at Nico's. He got 28 rushing yards to get him over 1,000 yards. And then DP, who had him a monster of a game, a career high with 19 carries, 175 yards, a touchdown, including a 92-yard run for a touchdown. He came into this game with 21 rushes, 117 yards, and 1 touchdown. And he only thing he didn't do was get more rushing attempts because he did with 2 less attempts than he came into this whole season. So you're telling me throughout the whole junction of the season, he only had 21 rushing attempts, only had 171 yards, and if I'm not mistaken, the with 40 of those yards came on the touchdown that he had against the Patriots. Come out there with a 92-yard run today, and then get you 175 yards, which was a career high in rushing yards in the touchdown. Nico was Nico's targeted 5 times, had 5 catches for 38 yards and then 1 touchdown. Barnett got his 2nd touchdown of the season on the defensive end, running a fumble back early. He had I think was it a pick six? Was it a pick six he had? Was a fumble he had against Dallas? I feel like it was an interception. I feel like it was an interception when he scored against Dallas. I'm not 100% sure. I feel like it was an interception, but it could have been a fumble. But I feel like it was an interception. When he got a fumble recovery this game for a touchdown. Will Levis, they were playing quarterback hot potato. Will Levis was 9 for 17, 175 yards and a touchdown. Mason Rudolph was 7 of 9 for 70 yards, no points. Like I said, for the Texans to go out there and win the game 23-14 in a meaningless game for the Texans. Really really a meaningless game for Tennessee, because Tennessee wanted to lose this game. Like I said the other day, this is a win-win situation for Tennessee. If you win, you're able to sweep the Texans, and you can go out there and say, "Hey, we swept the Texans," which is the thing that Amy Adams wants the most. But if they lose, they position themselves they guarantee themselves at least the number 2 pick. And if the Patriots lose, and I think the Patriots, if the Patriots win, I think the Patriots beat Buffalo, if I'm not mistaken. I think I seen that right before I started the live, that the Patriots won the game. So that by all those indications, Tennessee now has the number 1 pick in the draft, and they're able to go out there and they either go get Cam Ward or Shador Sanders, whoever they choose, or they will go out there and they'll trade the pick and be able to accumulate draft capital. If I'm them, I'm drafting a quarterback. I'm actually drafting Shador Sanders. I think Shador Sanders is better than Cam Ward. We were talking. People were talking on Twitter Space last night. When somebody brought up they wanted Tennessee to go out there and get the number 1 pick, and they wanted Tennessee to actually draft Shador because they don't think Shador is any good. I just disagree with that. Now, how they manage him going forward would be the biggest indicator, because they could get the right guy in the building, but if they don't do anything around it, it will make his situation bad. And one thing, whoever they get a quarterback, they definitely need to fix their offensive line as well. We talk about our offensive line issues. They're not no better. They're not no better. And at least the Texans have weapons to be able to give the ball to as far as making playmakers. I know Tony Pollard got 1,000 yards this season, but they really don't have weapons like that to be able to give the football to and get their quarterback out of harm's way. I mean, we seen in the game that we played against them earlier this season, even though they did win that game, but they got sacked 8 times. Like Will Levis got sacked 8 times. And they were getting abused in this game either. Now, granted, you could take that with a grain of salt because of the situation. Like I said, Tennessee did not want to win this game. As far as the fans didn't want to win this game. I know for a fact that those players on the field, they want to win the game because they want to put good tape out there. So they want to play well. At the very least, they want to play well. Maybe whoever wins or loses doesn't matter, but they definitely want to play. They definitely want to play well because, again, that's their tape on the field, especially guys who are free agents or guys who are pretending free agents, guys who are trying to get better contracts, or guys who are just trying to make a roster spot in general. They want to play well. I mean, we know that firsthand here in Houston when we had the number 1 pick right there in our hand and we went out there and we won the game. Now we end up getting CJ Stroud. So, hey, off or not, it doesn't really matter. But we know that by ourselves that, hey, these players that's playing this game and those coaches coaching the game, they want to win. They want to win. Now, the fans, we might be wanting the number 1 pick in the draft, the number 2 pick in the draft, whatever. But those guys on the field and coaching, they don't care about none of that. Like they don't give, they give a flying rats, whatever, about a draft pick in that moment. They want to win games. They want to put good tape on the field. So that's exactly what that was. And that's the reason why those guys will go out there and they are playing the way that they play. And you gotta go out there and you gotta make it do what it do. And shout out to that boy Chris for the super chat love. Definitely appreciate that. Imagine a 3-13 Browns and had a better chance of beating the Ravens than the Texans. Then better chance of beating the Ravens than the Texans. Chargers will blow out the Texans. Shout out to Chris for the super chat love. Definitely appreciate that. No, I mean, one, you gotta look at by that logic, because remember, Cleveland also beat the Ravens and they also beat Pittsburgh. So by that logic, Cleveland can go. By that logic, Cleveland will be the second best team in the playoffs, only behind Kansas City. Because Baltimore, if you want to go by the logic that you just laid out, the Cleveland Browns not only beat the Ravens, they beat Pittsburgh. Like you said, they barely lost to or had a good opportunity and played well in this past game the other night, last night. And remember, the Ravens blew out and smoked the Bills, and the Bills beat Kansas City, and Kansas City both beat Pittsburgh and the Ravens. So by that logic, Cleveland should be in the playoffs. They would at the very least be the second best, if not third, the second best team in the playoffs by that logic. That's the reason why you can't go back and do that. That's why that's one of the things in college football that doesn't make sense, and I don't understand why they do all that bickering, because we all know those logics don't make sense, because you by that way you can just make a case for any team. Like if Ohio State wins the national championship, hey, Michigan, hey, we beat Ohio State, so hey, we are part national champions as well. like type of stuff like that. Like that doesn't make any sense. Shout out to boy Christopher Super Chat Love. Definitely appreciate that. All I said is had a better chance. They ain't better. But no, I know you said they had a better chance, but then I also indicated and brought up that they did actually beat them. So they beat them once and had a chance to beat them the second time, and they also beat Pittsburgh as well. They beat Pittsburgh on Thursday night, and they also beat the Ravens. Like they beat the Ravens on Jameis Winston's first start. Like when Deshaun Watson got hurt, like Jameis Winston's first start. Two of those three wins that you just talked about came against the Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. That was the point that I was making. That's the only point that I was making. I get what you're saying, but I just actually expounded upon what you just said. That's all I was saying. Like I said, I actually want to play the Chargers. I know some people I seen it last night, a post, like it seemed like Texan fans are kind of afraid about playing the Chargers. I'm actually excited about playing the Chargers. That's who I would prefer to play. I think that the Texans will have a better chance of beating Pittsburgh. I think if we play against Pittsburgh, I feel like we will be the favorite against Pittsburgh. However, I do think, I do think that this Chargers game, I think the Texans might still be the favorite against the Chargers. Now, I do think a lot of that will have to do with, like when it comes to playing at home and being on the road, like when it comes to betting odds and favorites and things like that. When it comes to things like that, if you're at home, you get 3 points. So you get 3 points just for being at home. So if you're a 1 point favorite at home, that means on a neutral site you're a 2 point dog. You're a 2 point underdog. So that's how the odds and the betting odds work. So I do think against the Chargers, I think that because they're not that much better than us or wouldn't be perceived that much better than us, I think they will still have the upper hand as far as since we have the home field advantage, they will be the favorite against them. Not by much though. I'm not saying it'll probably be around a 1 to 2 point favorite against the Chargers. I actually think against Pittsburgh, I think against Pittsburgh we would be like a 4 to 5 point favorite, and then like so that means on a neutral site that means we'll be neutral site will be a 1 point favorite against them. And so I think that that's more lines of what I'm talking about as far as like favoritism. I think there would be like a 1 point favorite on a neutral site. So it means at home will be around like a 3.5 to 4 point favorite at home. That's kind of like how that works. That's why I think we end up happening with Pittsburgh. But again, I actually prefer to play the Chargers. Like I said the other night, I want us to go up against a good quarterback. So that way we will have a good quarterback that we face up against. Because I don't want because again, if you look at the way that we won playoff games before, outside of beating Josh Allen, and Josh Allen in his second year, and you can make a case that that's a different Josh Allen. Obviously, it's not make a case that it's the facts. There's a different Josh Allen than Josh Allen that we see right now. We really don't have a strong record as far as beating good quarterbacks in the playoffs. I mean, we beat Andy Dalton twice. And the first time he was a rookie, that's why I say like that first playoff win and that one against the Buffalo Bills are two strongest playoff wins. Because like that first one against Cincinnati, even though what you call it, Sam, not Sam Darnold, but Andy Dalton was a rookie. You had a rookie starting quarterback in TJ Yates as well. But that second time when you beat him, when you had what should have been the number one team in the NFL, because you were 11 at one point in time, you were 11-1 at the end of the season, 12-4, and you went up against, and then you went out there and you barely beat the Andy Dalton team at home. That yeah, you beat them, but really it didn't look good. And then your next playoff win wasn't until you beat Connor Cook because you lost to Alex Smith. So your next playoff win wasn't until you beat Connor Cook against the Raiders, which obviously we know how that is. You beat Connor Cook. That explains it. Then the following time you get into the playoffs, you lose to Andrew Luck. And then the time after that, you beat Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills. And then last year, you beat a 75-year-old Joe Flacco in the Cleveland Browns, which again, like I said, that carriage turned to a pumpkin, and you could tell immediately in that game that was not the Joe Flacco that was comeback player of the year that we've been seeing for the last 8 games of the regular season when he came in. So that's how that is. So again, I think that if you get now, and that would be kind of a similar situation if you go out there and you play Pittsburgh and you beat Russell Wilson. If you play Pittsburgh and you go out there and you beat Russell Wilson, it's kind of the same type of situation. It's Russell Wilson, but this is not the Seattle Seahawks Russell Wilson. This is not the Russell Wilson that went to back-to-back Super Bowls and has been to, I think, like 4 NFC Championship games. It's not the same Russell Wilson, so you're not going to feel the same way. But again, at least this right here, and again, I know that Justin Herbert is only 0-1 in the playoffs themselves. He's a upper class than the Russell Wilson that we've seen right now. He's definitely an upper class over the Alex Smith that we lost to, over both of the not Sandor, but okay, I just thought his name for the Bengals. Andy Dalton, both of the Andy Daltons that we beat, better than it's on par with the Josh Allen, and you can actually make it above that this version of Justin Herbert is a better version than the Josh Allen that we beat back in 2018. 2019, I'm sorry, that we beat back in 2019. So you can make that case. So that's the reason why me personally, that's who I would prefer to play against. I prefer to play up against. I would prefer to go out there and play up against the Chargers. I see somebody just put that the Broncos are winning 14-0. I want the Bengals to get into the playoffs. I want the Bengals to get into the playoffs. But it looks like the Broncos are going to get in. If the Broncos get in, the Broncos are going to definitely lose to Buffalo. But I want the Bengals to get into the playoffs, honestly, because I think the Bengals. To me, I think the Bengals had the best shot of the wild card teams, like of those wild card teams out of Miami, the Bengals, and the Broncos to go into Buffalo and win because of Joe Burrow, obviously. And shout out to that boy Chris for the super chat love. Definitely appreciate that. It's crazy how Texans want to play bad teams to get further into the playoffs. Steelers offense is bad. Besides Pickens, I agree, and that's the reason why I don't want to play Pittsburgh. Like, yeah, I think anybody wants to play the weaker opponent. That's the reason why the number 1 seed has a bye, and the number 1 seed faces the weakest of the surviving teams. Like, when you're the number 1 seed, the only team that you're guaranteed not to play against is the number 2 and the number 3 seed, because you could play against the 4 seed. If 2 and 3 win, you're going to play the 4. If 2, 3, and 4 win, you're going to play the 4 seed. And if any of the wild card, and if any of the 5, 6, or 7 seeds win and upset, you're going to play the lowest seed. So if the 7 seed wins, you automatically play the 7 seed. You automatically play the lowest seed. So most teams want the weakest path to get to a championship, because at the end of the day, nobody cares. All that is in the moment, like square business. All that is in the moment of who had the hardest path and who had the easiest path. Now, when you start talking about greatest teams of all time and you start comparing them to other championship teams, then those things come into conversations. But when you talk about a path, nobody talks about the path. We just talk about the championship. Nobody cares on the path. No, like nobody cares on the path. It's just like I seen a lot of posts of Blake Bortles. I think it was like his second or third year compared to CJ year when Blake Bortles threw for 3,500 yards, threw for 40. I think it was like 44. Threw for 44 100 yards and threw for 35 touchdowns. I think he had like 19 picks, and everybody's talking about Blake Bortles better than CJ Stroud, because you look at those numbers, but nobody puts into context. Nobody looks at that. Like, hey, when you go back, like look at their record. Their record was 5-11, and you go look at those games. Like all those games, like all these games, where he was throwing like 400 yards and 4 or 5 touchdowns. They still lost the game, and lost the game by double digits. The reason why, they were down like 21-0 at halftime. It was one game against Tennessee. They was down like 24-0 in the third quarter, and then the end of the game I think was like 50-something to 30. Like, yeah, he threw 5 touchdowns. He threw 5 touchdowns in that game, but they lost by 20 points. They lost by 20 points. I think they lost almost by 25 points. Like, they lost by 20 to 25 points. Exactly. Garbage time stats. But nobody cares about that. when time goes on, we're just gonna post that Blake Bortles had all these numbers. We're gonna talk about the numbers that Blake Bortles has, but we don't care about the context of how he's able to accumulate these numbers. Like we don't care about the context of that. No, like nobody cares about the context of the accumulation of those numbers that he got. Nobody cares about that. Like no, like nobody cares about that. The only thing that we care about is, hey, he scored this amount of yards, or he threw. I mean, he scored this amount of touchdowns, or he threw for this amount of yards, whatever the case may be. When you look at their record, 5-11, 5-11, you threw for 40. You threw for over 4,500 yards and 34 touchdowns, and you only had 5 wins. Like now granted, now Deshaun did the same thing. However, the difference was when in Deshaun's circumstances, it wasn't garbage time. Defense was just that bad. Like the defense was just completely bad. That Deshaun wasn't garbage time stats. Like when in Deshaun's 2020 season, I know a lot of people feel up in arms about Deshaun Watson, but it is what it is. When we talk about the Texans, Deshaun Watson, especially that 2020 season, he played well enough to win. The defense cost them games. Think about that game against Tennessee in overtime. Like just think about how that game went. Like he never got on the field in the overtime because Derrick Henry ran the football all the way up and down the field, scored a touchdown, and it was game over. And I think he threw like 400 yards and 5 touchdowns in that game. And again, we had the lead in that game. Like we had the we had the lead go. We had the lead with less than 2 minutes left to go in the game. Tennessee scored a touchdown to go. I think it was to AJ Brown. They scored a touchdown to AJ Brown to go out there to take it to overtime, and then we lost the coin toss. Tennessee goes out and wins the game. That wasn't garbage time. That's just bad defense. On the last 2 drives was horrific defense, and that's the reason why you lost that game. But I'm going off on a tangent about that, but. So all I'm saying is I want to see us go up against a quarterback that again, if we have some playoff wins, I want us to win some playoff games against some good quarterbacks. Me personally. Me personally. I understand, yes, the path to less resistance. Yes, Pittsburgh, I think would be a quote unquote easier opponent, quote unquote, and it's the path of less resistance. That's the reason why I want Cincinnati to get into the playoffs, because I think they have a better chance of beating the Bills, and therefore that way we don't have to go to Kansas City. But by that same logic, that means then we have to go to Baltimore. That is true. I just think it's going to be hard to beat Kansas City in Kansas City, especially in the playoffs, because of how the rest play. Because we played well in that game, but the rest was doing everything they could to make sure that we didn't walk away with that win. And shout out to that boy Chris once again for the super chat love. Definitely appreciate that. You can have bad team. You can have bad teams playoff cut because of the teams like the Patriots, Jags, Giants, Tennessee, for example, give away free wins. Uh, I mean, yeah. I think Tennessee was going to lose this game regardless. Like if the Texans want to win this game, as far as like they play their starters, Texas. I know Tennessee beat us earlier this season in Houston. I think that the Texans want to win this game, as far as like, hey, like if the Texans need to win this game, the Texans going to win this game. And even if Tennessee wasn't trying to give away a free dub, the Texans would still win this game. And because really this game only meant something to one person, and that's Amy Adams. That's the reason why they went out there and wore those Oilers jerseys. And I'm sorry, Tennessee. Can we please stop? Like seriously. Like can we please stop? Can we please stop? Now, if it's the battle for the division, like say if y'all draft Shador Sanders or y'all draft Cam Ward and y'all become a team this is contention for the division title, and y'all want to do this, by all means, do what you do. But when you're not a good football team, there's no reason to do this. There's no reason to do this because it just doesn't look good. It's just it's just bad. It's just bad. Now again, like I said the other day, this is a win-win for you because again, most Titan fans want to lose this game because they want a draft pick. Amy Adams wants to win this game. Amy Adams, it means something to this game. This is the reason why she was crying after the game in November And that's why she was crying. That's why she was crying after the game in November, because they came into Houston and they won, and they wore the light blue pants. And I like the fact what y'all did. Y'all was smart this time. And in the end zone put Tennessee, because there was for 2 years the Tennessee Oilers. There was 2 years they were the Tennessee Oilers. So use that. Sell that merch. So it's the same logo, same color scheme. Sell that merch. Don't sell Houston Oilers merch. Like JJ said, this gotta be a typo. The Houston Oilers fumbled the football, picked up by the Houston Texans, and scored a touchdown. Now I know there's other teams that share the same name, like the New York Jets and the New York Giants and the Los Angeles Rams and the Los Angeles Chargers. And at one point it was the Los Angeles Rams and the Los Angeles Raiders. I understand that teams like that do exist. I understand you have the New York. Can y'all hear me now? Can y'all hear me now? Still no? Y'all, can y'all hear me? Can y'all hear me? I'm good. What about now? It might be the mic then, cause I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Y'all can hear me now? Okay, cool. All right. So I don't know what's going on with it. Oh well, maybe I should. So I don't know. I guess maybe the mic will have went out. My apologies. But yeah, but like I was saying, But like I was saying though, like I understand there's different teams out there that share like the same name. Like you got the New York Giants, the New York Jets. You have the Los Angeles Chargers, the Los Angeles Rams, and at one point in time you had the Los Angeles Rams and Los Angeles Raiders. I understand all that. The thing about that is that they share not only different divisions, they also share different conferences. The only thing that shares the same conference is the Los Angeles Lakers and the Los Angeles Chargers. I mean, Los Angeles Lakers and the Los Angeles Clippers. That's the only one. So when you go out there and you go out there and you selling Houston merch, and you're not in Houston no more, and your divisional rival is in Houston, that doesn't make any sense to me. And they stopped selling Houston merch before there was a Houston Texans. The Houston Texans didn't become the Houston Texans until 2002. Tennessee went from the Oilers to the Titans in 99. So for 3 years, they was no such thing as Houston. So they could still sold their Houston merch. But they chose not to. They chose not to. The Texans didn't become. I mean, we knew that we knew they knew Houston was getting the team well before that. I think Houston was awarded the team in '99. If I'm not mistaken, I think Bob McNair, the city of Houston, was awarded the team in '99. They started breaking ground on the stadium uh, in 2000. I feel like the stadium was already built by 2001. The stadium was built before 2002 started. They ain't like the stadium was built and then they started playing them a month later. Like I feel like the stadium was probably built in 2001. Like it was as far as being completed. They probably started breaking ground in the stadium. It might start breaking ground in the stadium in 2000. Honestly, I can't completely remember. Because I was a young kid at that time, so I didn't know anything about any of that was going on. I mean, I knew that the Houston Oilers had left and they weren't in Houston no more. That's the only thing that I really pretty much knew. I didn't know, and I didn't know that the Texans were coming until yeah 2001. I knew the year before I knew the year before the Texans were a franchise, but before they actually played the game. 'Cause I remember on the 2001 Madden, after you completed the first season of Madden, they would make you become the Houston Texans and make you build that team up. That's really the reason why I became a Texan fan was because playing Madden, I basically built the Texans to be a franchise and drafted a quarterback and was playing and made it to a Super Bowl and things like that. So uh, when the 2000 season came about, I actually went out there and was watching the Texans and started rooting for the Texans based off of that because I wanted to see exactly what the Texan franchise was going to do as a franchise, obviously. Um, but but smart thing by them by putting Tennessee in the end zone and not putting Houston in the end zone like they did last year. Like that was a smart thing for them. And like I said, again, y'all want to wear y'all jerseys and y'all want to do all what y'all doing, end zone, change all that, do y'all want to do the cosplay, that's fine. I have no qualms about it. Just stop doing it against the Texans. Because it doesn't bode well for you. Now again, this one is a little bit different. This one's a little bit different because of this actually benefited y'all to lose the game. And maybe it was reverse psychology. That might have been what it was. If I sit back and think about it, it could very well just been reverse psychology and been what Amy Adams really wanted. Like, yeah, I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna give them an extra oomph to play well, to potentially play their starters, so we can get the number one pick. And I get to wear all, and I get to do the Oilers stuff. I get to see the Oilers jerseys. Yay! But that's giving Amy Adams a little bit too much credit, honestly. I don't think that's the case. I think she really was being petty and she really wanted to go out there and win. She thought that this was going to be her chance to win one. And again, that's twice now that y'all have worn these Oilers jerseys and the Texans won the game without their starting quarterback, without their starting receiver, without their best players on defense. Now I know CJ started the game, and technically this will go down as a win for CJ in his career. So this season, CJ this will go down as a win in his career. So he won 9 games last year. He's won 10 games this year. So this will go down as a win in his career for CJ Stroud. But but even though that's the case, even though that is the case, and this will go down as a win in CJ Stroud's career, um, we played the majority of this game without CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud played one drive, literally, and yeah, he scored a touchdown. Um, and y'all scored 14 points. So without CJ, we still had to score the enough points to beat y'all because we beat y'all by 9 points. So because we scored 16 points without CJ. So that's twice now that y'all wore these jerseys against us, and y'all lost with now our best players on the field. Stop wearing these jerseys against us. And then the fans themselves didn't care. The fans didn't even show up. That stadium was beyond half empty. Like that stadium probably had the capacity. I don't know of probably like 15. No, that's a little bit disrespectful. Uh, I'm gonna say like 35 to 40%. There was nobody in that stadium. That stadium was empty. Like that stadium was like I said, like 35 to 40%. So, and I get it. The team is bad, and you're on the cusp of winning the number one pick in the draft. I understand all of it. My point is, they weren't even excited enough to go out there and wear their Oilers gear. There's a lot of Texan fans in that stadium too. I seen a lot of C.J. Stroud jerseys. I seen a lot of H-Town Blue jerseys. A lot of Battle Red jerseys. So there was no point. And I remember a game against Tennessee back in 2018 where Tennessee actually could potentially won the division because they win it. The Texans win in the play against Tennessee. They had about to say Ryan Mallett, Ryan Tannehill. Yeah, had Ryan Tannehill and AJ Brown and Derrick Henry. All those things was going in y'all favor, and the Texans went out there and won the game. But the fans themselves wasn't there. Like I don't really know how much fan support really is in Tennessee. I got a homeboy who is a Tennessee fan. He says it all the time that Tennessee just need to move back to Houston because he feel like they'll have more fans here because you have more of the core Oiler fans because there's a lot of like don't get it twisted. And for y'all who travel, who do happen to travel to Houston, no, there's a lot of Oiler fans that be at them Texan Titan games. There's a lot of Titan fans that be inside NRG Stadium, and they not traveling Titan fans. A lot of those people live in Houston. I see stuff all the time when I see like not Oiler, but see like the Tennessee Titan like decals on the back of people's trucks or back of people's cars. I see the flags outside their house. Like so there is a lot. Now again, there's definitely way more Texan fans than there are Titan fans in the city of Houston. Just like there's more Cowboy fans in the city of Houston than Titan fans. There's probably more Steeler fans and definitely more Saint fans. I think in Houston is the Texans, then the Cowboys, then the Saints, then probably Pittsburgh, and then Tennessee and Pittsburgh might be kind of close in the city of Houston, like in the actual city of Houston. It's more Texan fans than anybody. Then you got right underneath that is going to be some Cowboy fans, and then right underneath that is going to be New Orleans Saints fans, and a lot of that is really from people from Louisiana migrating to Houston after Hurricane Katrina. That's where most of that comes from. It's not really just like people in the city of Houston that were born and raised in the city of Houston becoming New Orleans Saint fans. That's not the case. That's majority of people who came from New Orleans or Louisiana and they are fans. The Dallas fans, you got people who are born and raised in Houston, like from their dad born and raised, and their grandfather, and their great grandfather being born and raised in the city of Houston, but they're Dallas Cowboy fans. In the same way with Pittsburgh Steelers fans, like you got guys they ain't never left the city, they are from this city, but they're Dallas Cowboy fans or they're Steelers fans. In the same way as Titan fans, because those people who are Titan fans were Oiler fans, or their family was Oiler fans, and they just moved with their team. But then a lot of those people became Texan fans, and so not to just get into that whole the whole Dallas talk. Hey, shout out to that boy Edward for the super chat love. Definitely appreciate that. Definitely appreciate that. Are we going to be able to? Are we going to be a one and done? Like it depends on what your definition of one and done is, because my definition of one and done is you don't win a game. Like you get to the playoffs and you lose. But some people say, okay, I've heard some people say we probably just win one game and just be one and done and losing the divisional round. To me, that's not one and done. Um, so if you think that one and done is we just lose, like we get to the playoffs and we lose to either Pittsburgh or we lose to the Chargers, whoever we face, and we lose and we don't advance. If you think that's one and done, then no, I actually think we're going to win the playoff game. I do. I think the Texans are going to go out there, whoever it is, Chargers or Pittsburgh. I feel like the Texans are going to win said game. Now, if your definition of one and done is we win the wild card game and then we go to Kansas City, Buffalo, or Baltimore and lose one of those games, then I can agree with you because I do think that might be I think that's the most likely scenario. The Texans win whoever they beat in the wild card, whoever they play in the wild card round, and then they'll either we go to, depending on how the things are slated, you either be going to Kansas City, you be going to Baltimore, or you be going Kansas City, Buffalo, or Baltimore. So you'd be going to one of those three places. So again, if there's an upset, if there's an upset on any of the lower seeds, that would allow you to be able to get to the game. Now, there's a chance that the Texans can actually still host the second round of the playoffs, even at the 4 seed, if both the two lower seeds win. So if both, whoever the two lower seeds is, and Pittsburgh can actually beat Baltimore. That's another reason why I want to face the Chargers as well. Because if you beat the Chargers, Pittsburgh can go into Baltimore and beat Baltimore. Like Pittsburgh very well can go into Baltimore and beat Baltimore. Like Lamar Jackson's only beaten Pittsburgh twice in his career, and one of those was 2 weeks ago. So you can and like Chris said earlier, they barely had I'm not barely, but they had a tough out last night against Cleveland. So I could definitely see Pittsburgh rolling up into Baltimore and beating Baltimore. That could definitely happen. And that's one of the reasons why I really want Cincinnati to get into the playoffs. But even without Cincinnati, Denver does have a good defense. They do have a good defense. Josh Allen does turn the ball over quite frequently. There's a possibility that Denver can go up inside, but Denver can go inside Buffalo and do that as well. And then you will be sitting up there. If that's the case, that means you will be hosting the game against Pittsburgh because that means Denver will have the lowest seed, and Denver will have to go to Kansas City to face Kansas City, and then you would host the Pittsburgh Steelers. So there is an opportunity and a chance for the Texans to even host another playoff game. And again, if that's the possibility, if that's the situation, I actually would like the Texans' chances of making it to the AC Championship game and make that will therefore make it a deep run into the playoffs. I could see that happening. Do I think that's going to happen? No. But is it out of the realm of possibility? No, as well. Crazier things have happened on the NFL level, especially in the playoffs. So I mean, we seen the Arizona Cardinal team. I think they lost like they last like 5 games going into the playoffs. And they were calling them the worst playoff team, and that team went to the Super Bowl. Now they lost, and they should have beat Pittsburgh. They came a play away from beating Pittsburgh with the Antonio Holmes touchdown sideline toe tapper from winning the actual Super Bowl. So we've seen these type of things happen before, and that's another reason why I think D'Amico Ryans want to put some good tape on the field and want to go out there and win this game. D'Amico Ryans wanted to put some good tape on the field. He wanted to see, like I say, he wanted to see the ball go in the hoop. He wanted to see this offense look like something to be happy about. And when you talk about, like I say, both of your two Pro Bowlers hitting their 1,000-yard marks. DP going out there having the best game of his career with a 92-yard run, ending off 175 yards and a touchdown. Now push you into five and put you into 5-1 in the division. So D'Amico Ryans this year was 5-1 in the division. The Texans have completed and have won 3 straight games on the road on the division. They last lost a divisional game against Indy in 2021. So the last 3 years, this year, the 2022 season, this season, last season, and the season prior, they've won all 3 of their road games. 2024, 2023, 2022. And in 2021, they won their last 2, which makes it 11 straight road games, which is, I think this is an AFC South record, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if it's like an all-time NFL record. That I don't know. The Texans are now 22 and 24 in their series against Tennessee. Tennessee only has 2 wins above them now. Again, they beat us early this season because, again, we could have got this to 1. Well, this could have been no, it wouldn't have been one. It would have been tied. If the Texans would have beat Tennessee this season, it would have been tied both at 23. The Texans would have won. If the Texans would have swept them, it would have been tied at 23. So the Texans going to net. The Texans will have to sweep Tennessee to bring this back. And again, remember, Tennessee started off 4-0 against the Texans. Like it took 2 years before the Texans even got a win against Tennessee, and then they swept them that year. And then they also went into like a losing streak. And I think they lost like five straight or something like that. So you do have that to speak for. I said D'Amico Ryans with 2 10-7 seasons, so that makes him 20-14 as a career as a head coach. Again, these are things that matter to these guys and these players, and that's the reason why they didn't want to fold and didn't want to tank and didn't want to not win this game. And also that makes him because last year he went 4-2 in the division because he swept Tennessee and he split with both Jacksonville and he split with both Jacksonville and Indy. So he's actually swept every team in the division now. He swept Indy this year, swept Jacksonville this year, swept Tennessee last year, and then he's never been swept. And he split with Tennessee this year, and last year he split with both Jacksonville and split with Indy. Like I said, he was 4-2 in the division last year. He's 5-1 in the division this year, which makes him 9-3 total. So in 2 years, he's 9-3 in the division. 20-14 for a career record. As it stands right now, he's 1-1 in the playoffs, 2 division titles, has the opportunity to advance and make his division and make his playoff record better by taking care of business. More than likely, it'll be on Saturday. I see that they changed up the scheduling because it used to be like from the beginning. Like once NBC got involved, NBC had the first wild card game, and that was a stretch from like 2015 to from 2015 to like 2020, I believe. ESPN had the Saturday night game, the Saturday playoff game, and they went back to NBC because it was NBC last year. Now it's going to be CBS and Fox on Saturday, CBS and Fox on Sunday. Then there's a Sunday night game that's going to be on NBC, and then there's a Monday night game on ESPN. Um, I don't like that. I don't like that. So I don't like that. So we're probably gonna get the 3 o'clock game on NBC, but on CBS like the Texans normally play on CBS. So not the NBC bright lights and stuff like that because they're probably gonna put that probably gonna put that Philadelphia Washington game on NBC next week because I think because not Washington Green Bay because Green Bay's clinched the 7th seed, so that's probably going to be that game. It's probably going to be Philly and Green Bay as the 7th on the NBC game, and then the Monday night game is probably going to be because Tampa won the division. So the Monday night game is going to be Tampa, and then whoever Tampa. It's gonna be Tampa, and then whoever loses the Detroit whoever loses the Detroit game, because I don't think that they're gonna put like the Detroit and the Vikings because whoever wins that game wins the number 1 seed. Whoever loses that game is the 5 seed and has to go to Tampa, and they're probably gonna put them on Monday Night Football. I don't think they'll put the Texans and the Chargers on Monday Night Football or the Texans and the Steelers on Monday Night Football. I think the Texans, Chargers, the Texans, and Steelers, whoever that is, we're gonna get the CBS game on Saturday. It's gonna be a 3:30 game, whatever, which I'm fine with, honestly. Go ahead, get it out the way. That way I can enjoy the rest of the playoffs. However it is, win or lose. Hopefully, with a win, you enjoy it better with a win. With a loss, you probably don't even want to watch any of the other games. So that's what I prefer. I prefer it to be that. Honestly, like I said, I prefer for it to be the Chargers. I'd rather the Chargers. That way, if it's the Chargers, I think that lays out a better way and potentially lays out a better path. Yeah, the Chargers can go inside Baltimore and win. I wouldn't be surprised at that. I just feel like Pittsburgh has a better chance of going inside Baltimore and win because at the very least they beat Baltimore this year. The Chargers lost to Baltimore this year, and so did Pittsburgh. But Pittsburgh also has beaten the Chargers. I mean, Pittsburgh's also beaten the Ravens this year, and also Pittsburgh has a history of beating the Ravens. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a history of beating the Ravens, have a history of beating Lamar Jackson. Not just beating the Ravens, they have a history of beating Lamar Jackson, not just the Ravens. So I believe, I have the mindset and believe that they will go out there and will win that game. It will potentially win that game. Again, Lamar Jackson, outside the game he played against us, has not played a good playoff game. Because even the one playoff game that he beat Tennessee, he didn't play well in that game either. He's only had one good playoff performance. It comes at the expense of C.J. Stroud and DeMeco Ryans. That definitely comes at the expense of that. But I don't know if he's going to continually having other good games. So I would prefer him to play against Pittsburgh because I know that's a nemesis of his. I know he has struggled with Pittsburgh. I know that they have lost to Pittsburgh numerous times in crucial division type situations. Not just, because like last year, the last game of the season, the Ravens had already wrapped up the number one seed. Everything was done. They didn't need to play for it. So you could put an asterisk with that game last year. But this game earlier this season, that game was in the midst of something. We've seen Pittsburgh go out there and beat Baltimore when they needed something to play for, when Baltimore really needed to play, when Baltimore needed to win to get into the playoffs or whatever the case may be. And we've seen Pittsburgh go out there and handle business, no matter who the quarterback was. No matter who the quarterback was, if it was Big Ben, if it was Big Ben, if it was Kenny Pickett, if it was who else has been the Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback recently? Well, I guess that's it. Because yeah, never mind. That's is it. It was Kenny Stills or not Kenny Stills, Kenny Pickett. It was either Big Ben or Kenny Pickett up until this year. So it is what it is. So I just feel like that they have opportunity. They have the best chance to go out there and walk inside Baltimore and beat Baltimore. And if they do that, that also betters your chance of if they go out there and beat Baltimore, you guaranteed not to go. You guaranteed not to go Kansas City. Now you might end up be going to Buffalo, but you have beat Buffalo this year, and you've also beat Buffalo in the playoffs. And I know a lot of people in the city of Houston keep holding on to that Buffalo game back in '92 with the Oilers when we have a whole Kansas City Chief one that we should be talking about, or one we should be avenging, or whatever the case may be. But I guess the one in '92 was actually worse because that at the very least that was halftime. Like that game was half over. Like you lost the lead to Kansas City before we got to halftime. Like it was in the second quarter and you already was down by 4 points. You was already down 28-24 in the second quarter. The game against Buffalo, you was like it was halftime when that was what 30 and that was what 30 what was it 31-7 or 31-3? What was that score? It's like 31-3. It was like 31-3. So actually, yeah, that's worse because that's actually more points. That's a bigger spread. That's a bigger spread. Or was it 34-3? It was either 31-3 or 34-3. If I'm not mistaken, didn't the Oilers come out at halftime and score? If I'm not mistaken, I think the Oilers came out at halftime and scored. So I don't know. It's like so. Actually, yeah, one might be worse. That one might be worse. That one might really be worse because as I sit back and think about it, yeah, they did. They came out halftime and scored, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah. But anyway, it is what it is. Like I said, your Houston Texans and have finished the regular season with 10 wins, so back-to-back 10-win seasons. After having three straight 4-4 and 3-win seasons, you have back-to-back 10-win seasons, 10-7. Like I said, DeMeco Ryans as a head coach is 20-14 as a head coach. He's 9-3 in the division. So that's actually good. 2 division titles. That's a good start to his career. When we talk about like before that, the best start was Bill O'Brien at 9-7, um, with no playoff appearance and then a division title his second time, but a playoff loss. He lost 30-0 in the playoffs. Like at least in D'Amico Ryan's first 2 years, he has 2 more wins. Now, granted, you do play 2 extra games. I mean, when you play the extra game, but he does have 2 division titles and also has a playoff win. So he does have a better start. It's very comparable start. He does have a better start though. Obviously, he has more wins, but like I say, you kind of can take that with a grain of salt slightly because he is playing the extra game. Like we don't know if if Bill O'Brien would have had another game both those years, if he would have had another win and been 10-7. He very well also could have been 9-8. But he could have went 10-7 in both those situations. I believe he would win 10-7. And I believe he would win 10-7 in 2014. But then you can also make the case. You can make the case that D'Amico in a 16-game season will only win 9 games because in both seasons he won his 10th game on the last game of the season. So in the first 16 games he was 9-7. So they are very comparable. Like they are the exact same because in the first 16 games in both situations he's only won 9 games. He went 9-7 both times. He didn't get the 10th win into the extra game. The difference is in both of those situations he won a division, and his first playoff appearance he won a playoff game. Bill O'Brien, it took him year 2 to win the division, but took him year 3 to win a playoff game because he got blown out his first playoff appearance. It took him his next try to go out there and win a playoff game. So there is that. And now CJ can help in advance and improve his playoff record and actually be he'll be the first quarterback for the Texans to have more than one playoff win. Cause TJ Yates was 1-1 in the playoffs as a starter. Matt Schaub was 1-1 in the playoffs as a starter. Brian Hoyer is 0-1 in the playoffs. Brock Osweiler is 1-1 in the playoffs. Deshaun Watson is 1-2 in the playoffs. And CJ is 1-1 in the playoffs. So right now CJ is tied with TJ Yates, Matt Schaub. He's right now tied with TJ Yates, Matt Schaub, and Brock Osweiler as the best record in franchise history as a starting quarterback for in the playoffs. Now, if he wins, he'll be the only one with 2 wins, so he'll have the best record, and he will have the best record. He'll be the only one with 2 wins. And if he loses, him and Deshaun are the only ones with 2 losses. Now the person with the worst record obviously is Hoyer because Hoyer doesn't even have a win. Even though Deshaun has 2 losses, Hoyer doesn't have no wins. So he's also you put Hoyer at the bottom. You put Hoyer at the bottom. So CJ could break this tie, or or he could either break this tie or he will be in a tie with Deshaun. So we all hope he breaks this tie in his 2-1 and then go potentially 3-1 and 4-1, and 5-1 means he wins the Super Bowl. So if he's 5-1, he wins the Super Bowl. If he's 2-2, uh, that means we won the wild card game. He lost the division round. If we make it to the AFC Championship game, he's guaranteed to have a winning playoff record. So he'll be 3-2. We make it to the Super Bowl, he'll be 4-1, or he'll be 4-1, and at worst could be 4-2. So again, going too deep into the weeds when it comes to that. But we'll see. I think somebody just said the Chargers are losing. So again, if the Chargers lose or tie, if I'm not mistaken, we'll play Pittsburgh. Uh, Again, I prefer to play the Chargers, but I'm cool with anybody we play against. If it's Pittsburgh, I'm cool with. If it's Chargers, I'm cool with. I know it can't be the Broncos or anybody else, but it's a restart, refresh, re-year, new year, and let's see exactly what this team can do going forward into the playoffs. Appreciate everybody that came through here. Really, not a lot really to break down because of how meaningless the game was. I mean, I'm happy for DP go out there and look like a good number two running back. And I think with a different offensive coordinator, I think we could probably utilize him better than we did this season. So I mean, who knows? Maybe there's something there. I say I'm glad that both Joe Mixon and Nico got their 1,000 yards and CJ got the 20 yards. I'm cool with the Texans winning. I'm really not tripping. I mean, Tennessee get the number one pick in the draft. They got the number one pick in the draft. Hey, they can draft who they want to draft. We still got to do. We still got to handle our business. So it is what it is. I'm not tripping. But y'all really got to evaluate and stop probably wearing them Oilers jerseys against us. Y'all wear them, just don't wear them against us because when y'all wear them against us, it just doesn't bode well for y'all. Unless y'all was intentionally trying to do it on purpose to lose, which fans probably want to. I'm not giving Amy Adams that much credit. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't, comment below if you haven't, click that bell, get more videos. Hey, shout out to everybody that hit the like button. I'm so sorry, I forgot to do this. Shout out to everybody hit the like button. If you ain't hit the like button already, make sure you hit the like button. I'm gonna give you some time. I'm tripping. I'm tripping. I normally give y'all time. If you ain't hit the like button already, make sure you hit the like button. I'm gonna give y'all some time. If you ain't hit the like button already, make sure you hit the like button. I'm gonna give y'all some more time. I don't know what I was thinking. I really was tripping. Like, I was really about to cut it off. I ain't do all my things. Hey, shout out to everybody hit the super chat love. Definitely appreciate that. Y'all know how much that means to me. Y'all don't know how much that means to me. I definitely appreciate y'all hitting that super chat love. Definitely appreciate that for hitting that super chat love. As y'all seen, I had dropped a video. And I know people was waiting for it. People like, oh man, a video drop. Finally, a video drop. Mo is coming on the way. Like I said, I had to get some stuff situated. And y'all seen my mic just went out. So this probably I need to charge it. That's on me. That's me. I should have charged it. My fault. My bad. Hey, we human. Players mess up. But I got some more videos. 'Cause I want to do. I got some other stuff I want to talk about, especially how the season has progressed and about guys who basically were the best players on the team and who is the best player on the team and stuff like that. So I got other videos coming, so don't worry, it's gonna be other videos dropping throughout this week, leading up into I will go live immediately. Well, I will go live Friday to do a preview of whoever it is we face in the playoffs, and I'm also gonna do a complete playoff preview. So it's not just gonna be the Texans and who we're opponents. It's gonna be mostly that because again, at the end of the day, I'm a Texan fan. You know what it is. I'm a Texan fan. Hey, H-Town, I am a Texan fan, so you already know that's what it's going to be mostly about. But we're going to talk about the other playoffs as well. I want to talk about some of the other playoff games and other potential matchups. And I'm going to be covering the entire playoffs, all the teams. Leading up to the Super Bowl, I'm going to be covering the entire playoffs. And yeah, I'm going to be covering the entire playoffs. And for people who've been waiting about basketball, the basketball videos will be coming pretty soon as well. So I'm going to be so like this 2025 season, this 2025 year rather, is about to be. I don't want to say different, but it's because it's going to be the same, but it's going to be different because you're going to see a lot more coverage from NFL, NBA basketball, college basketball. You're going to see a lot more coverage on a lot more things. So you're going to see a lot more things. You're going to see a lot more coverage and stuff like that. We're going to be talking about some things more than just the Texans, more than just the Orlando Magic. We're going to be talking about sports pretty much across the board. It's going to be mostly centered around the Houston Texans. The basketball is going to be centered mostly around the Orlando Magic because those are my favorite teams. But I will be talking about other teams, and I actually think that probably will help some Texan fans and also Magic fans about the other teams and the other opponents who we can and will potentially face going into these next couple of years and things like that. So it's gonna be a little bit different, but it's a lot the same as well. So like I said, like, share, if you haven't, Like, share if you haven't clicked that bell to get more videos. Make sure you like this video and you share this video. Hey, and continue to watch every video I post as far as pre-recorded videos and lives. I will be going live before the playoffs start on Friday, and I will be going live immediately right here after the game. I will go immediately after the game. We're gonna talk about breaking down. Do CJ and Nick and D'Amico have their second playoff win, or is it a one and done? Like, subscribe if you haven't, comment below if you haven't clicked that bell. Click that bell to get more videos. I holla. Oh, what happened? It won't click off. I don't know what happened. It's tripping. I don't get it. I don't know. I don't know. It was tripping. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. I don't know. I don't know what happened. But anyway, like, subscribe if you haven't, click that bell, get more videos. I holla.